Hey, what's up, guys? Books Nelson here, back with another card breakdown. And today we'll be getting into Dark Matter Zach Levine. So I'm gonna tell you straight up, not only is this not a troll card, I think Zach Levine might possibly actually be fantastic. All right. So the thing about Zach, as we get into him, first things first, the number one concern for me was how's that jump shot look on very quick. That jump shot is incredible. That is a park jumper, guys. That is like a genuine park jumper. This is a PG1 level park jumper. Now, he does not have the Jamal Murray behind the back, but that's okay because of what he does have can substitute for it in some capacity. And I'll show you exactly how we're going to get into that. But first things first, this jump shot is incredible. I think this is a very, very, very good jump shot. In terms of signature jumpers, this is up there with the best of them now that it's on very quick. This is a classic case of like, don't look at just a jump shot by itself. You have to look at how it looks on very quick because it might be a very different story. They say he has the same jumper, but I tell you what, as a person who used some Zach Levine's on normal early in the year, this feels night and day from Zach Levine. I feel like you can shred with this card as much as you can shred with anybody, man. Like for real. I think this is beyond not just a troll card. If you don't have Hakeem or a Giannis card, I think today's set with this Zach Levine being at this level becomes as close to an automatic lock in as we've gotten. If you're a person who locks in, again, if you don't want to lock in, then don't do it. But if you are a person who locks in these sets, I would 100% say that this card makes this set the first set with no troll cards. There are no troll cards in this lock in set. Every Dark Matter, with the exception of Jalen Green, released this week is very, very good in my opinion. I think that Zach Levine is probably very good, and it all begins with this jumper. Okay, so now we're going to break down the rest of the stuff. So Kyrie Irving dribble style, we know what that's all about. He has a Zach Levine motion style, which feels pretty good. Jamal Murray signature size up. So here's what I was talking about earlier with the Jamal Murray size up. So this is behind the back. This is between the legs. So you see here when he goes between the legs, he takes like that little step back and he gets really wide. This is a good thing for certain dribbles. This is crossover. And now look what happens when I start doing this crossover and step back. He has like an Isaiah Thomas style figure eight stuff that he has going on. Now, that's not in and of itself super strong. However, if you snatch and if you do a snatchback, right, and you start sizing people up real quick, you can quickly change which direction you're doing without a big combo. What do I mean by big combo? Double escape, just way more animation, right? Double escape to the front, way more animation in terms of switching sides. Even say the double throw. We're gonna get to this move in a second, but this is not good for switching sides, right? Double behind the back. Oh wow, he got that out of his double behind the back. That's crazy. But yeah, so you don't want to do that stuff. Curry slide, big slow animation on the Curry slide. So what I'm saying is, when you get to a neutral position, obviously you don't want to be too close to your opponent, but there are many situations, especially when you have an elite snatch back with the Chris Paul, right? So it's basically the same as the John Wall, LeBron James on the hot back, which is very important animation. And then the snatchback is good. It's not as snappy as the John Wall, but I still think it is elite as far as that goes. So when you're doing something like that, so you snatch back, you hit them with the quick little double move, and now you switch sides for free, basically, in terms of moving that ball around. And moving that ball around becomes very important, partially because of the moves that we talked about on this channel before. So with the Kyrie Irving dribble style, out of this Jamal Murray, you can just run out of any move you do, right? You see that? That quick burst, that's just literally, you guys can see it on the screen, dribble between the legs, go. Like he moves like, it's funny because only if you have the Kyrie Irving style can you do this, which I'm not necessarily upset about. I do wish more of the small point guard styles had this effect. But when you play a basketball game, that's what you expect, to just be able to go when you change directions. You cannot do this with most of the cards in the game. And the Jamal Murray between the legs, it has this beautiful pause, which is basically a built-in hezi burst. We love that built-in hezi burst. Same thing with the crossover. He has a built-in hezi burst. This is fantastic. So you snatch, crossover, built-in hezi burst. With the Jamal Murray signature size up, this was makes it so good. You can snatch. I don't know why I'm not getting a snatch yet. You guys see my inputs. I did it. but you can snatch and you can go to the other hand very quickly without doing a big animation. So now the opponent, when they're trying to predict which hand you're going to, they can't tell which way you're going to go, right? And that is a massively, just a great way to be able to attack your opponent. People don't attack their opponents with dribble styles a lot in this game. Like when the Magic, it's funny because the Magic Johnson and Devin Booker push crosses were so easy that they did it all the time. But with Kyrie Irving, Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant, attacking with the dribble style is locked behind a little bit more of a skill wall, and then nobody does it. But I'm telling you right now, it doesn't have to start with the snatch. I just say the snatch because this creates space, right? So you create a little space, hit a real subtle two cross, and you can go either direction. You go same side, I did it twice. Same side, you'll burst, and you hit the double cross. You can go the other way. You can hit one cross, go the other way, hit one cross, burst. What a fantastic set of options. I will go over the rules, right? The cardinal dribbling directions: ball hand, off ball hand, north, and south. And now we've discovered that virtually every player in the game has a good north attack if you do our bread and butter, not our bread and butter, our secret tech, right? So the secret tech, for those who don't know, and I'll probably mention this in every video so nobody misses it, right? So you do an in and out. Off of the in and out, you cancel the in and out. Now you can cancel in the same direction and get a hezzy burst, right? This is important. But you also, I'm really shocked that it's taken this long to discover this tech. You in and out and you cancel in the other direction, right? Now with the Kyrie Irving dribble style, it's not nearly as important. But that right there, you see that very, very quick is different than the Kyrie Irving push cross. So the Kyrie Irving push, again, the Kyrie Irving push is very good. So on cards that have the Kyrie Irving, it's not like as important. But even with the Kyrie Irving, it's a different animation when you go to that in and out burst. You see he just like slides the ball under. The important thing about that is you can do this in and out off of any. Now I'm doing the turbo in and out. You don't have to do the turbo one. You can do it off of these as well. But I prefer it off of this one because it's more predictable. I can hezzy burst out of it, and I can also let that animation play out a little bit and actually use that animation. You see the burst right there? That's the burst that you're getting. You're doing this animation and you're bursting out of it. It's just that you can burst out of it before the animation begins. At any time, by the way, which means you can also change your timing. So you can come over here, hit them with it, and wait to see if they bite. And if they don't bite, snatch. Go back to that other stuff we talked about before. So you talk about complete freedom of movement. This Zach LaVine card, in my opinion, is closer to the S tier when it comes to freedom of movement. The only thing he's missing is literally, instead of the John Wall behind the back, he has the Curry slide. I mean, I'm sorry, the Jamal Murray behind the back, he has the Curry slide. But I think that's perfectly okay, and I'll show you why as we get to the rest of the moves. So he has Trey Escape, so we know what that means. He has a great explosive burst, right? And that means he's also going to be just a monster when it comes to L2 canceling. So if you have L2 canceling skills, you're going to be cooking people, just absolutely destroying people with this card. No way, I'm telling you guys, no way is this a troll card. I know as the community, we want to be angry about everything 2K does, and they've been putting out troll cards like Chris Paul and Paul Pierce. This card does not fit into that category. This is not just a usable point guard, but if you pull this card, I highly recommend you give him a try before you sell him or do whatever you're going to do with the card. I know he's 6'5", so he's not a giant, but in terms of creating off the dribble, this card has a lot going for him. Okay, combo moves. So this is another interesting one, right? Because this is very similar to the James Harden combo moves in that it gives you a crab, right? Because if you do that and then you Trey Escape out of it, you will crab your opponent if you run forward, right? So you do this, you'll slide in front of your opponent off that, you Trey Escape behind, you'll crab them. High level technique, great way to create threes. Actually one of the top ways to create threes. Basically, you just do that move from like say right here. And with his, he runs, I'm a little far back, but and look at that Kyrie Irving dribble style out of that. That's incredible. I'm actually kind of in love with this card. I'm not even gonna lie. So you see there, doing it from a little back here, he runs forward, you Trey Escape, crab him, kill him, right? So if people are pushing up on you, even on pick and rolls, this works as long as you don't bump into the guy doing the screen. That can work there as well. So his combo moves are actually elite. I was not, as they say, I was not familiar with your game, bro. I did not know his combo moves were that good. I think the James Harden combo moves are better, but in my team, it's not just about the best move, right? The second best, the third best they all matter because, like in the case of Zach LaVine, they might actually be on the card. So those combo moves are excellent. What's his breakdown move? Actually, kind of interesting. So what's interesting about this, we talked about this before, it's the different side switching, right? The ball switching sides like that in an animation that you basically can't pluck. Because I think these canned animations might be totally unpluckable because I have not yet seen one of them plucked. Now, I don't know how reliable the data is because people don't spam these animations, which means I don't get to see the counterplay to them. But so far, I've not seen a pluck out of these size ups, and I think they might be entirely unpluckable. Laker fan actually has a great video showing the LaMelo being unpluckable, where he could basically just do the LaMelo cross down here into a standing dunk, right? A little extra sauce for you guys there. So when you can change hands like this, and you have the Kyrie Irving dribble style, whatever hand this is in, you can change whatever direction you want. So it almost doesn't matter what you put in with your controller. When he's switching hands like this, the defender has a very low chance of taking the ball from you because there's not a lot of vulnerability on this move, if any. And also, they can't predict which way you're going. So when they're crowding you and spamming right stick, here's an important thing, right? A lot of sauce in this video today. Once they reach, their chance of getting the ball from you lowers dramatically. And once they reach twice, it's like basically they don't have steal. Now, they do have 99 steal cards in my team, whereas in my career, most people have a 91 or an 85 steal. Lockdowns will have it higher, but no one has a 99 steal, right? No, I'm not literally no one, but almost no one's using that on a build because it's so expensive. Whereas in my team, people will have a higher steal. So maybe losing that adrenaline bar is not effective, but certainly not as effective or as important. I would still roll the dice on that because once they reach on something like this and now they can't reach anymore, now you can just do whatever you want. Like whatever dribble moves to your heart's content, you can literally just however you want to cook up the opponent. It doesn't care if you're in front of me, right? I can do whatever I want because you don't have the same power of steal that you just threw away with the adrenaline bar. And one way to get people to throw away an adrenaline bar is to do this in front of them and they think they can reach and they just simply can't. But the ball is also switching sides, which again puts you into that freedom of movement place. So we love that. Let's look at the aggressive cross. Interesting, actually. I don't hate this necessarily. Have to. It's interesting because it's like a different size up, basically. I don't know how I feel about it. I have to play with this a little more. Verdict is out, though. I think this requires just some experimentation to see what kind of burst you can get out of it. And this is a great example. I just did the in and out burst right there. Because if you'll notice, and I'm actually glad I did this, the Kyrie Irving dribble style is not super explosive out of this move. It's kind of slow. But if I do the in and out, it's very explosive. You see there? That was the in and out cross into the burst. Let's see if we can go other side. Let's see. There we go. The other side, much more explosive. Guys, I'm telling you, if you follow this channel, we found a little gem together. That in and out burst to both sides is one of the most important moves to learn. And I will detail more of that later as we talk more about that move. That move is going to get its own video outside of Devin Booker because I realize with Devin Booker headlining, most people aren't going to click just for that move. They're going to be looking for Devin Booker. All right. So let's see what else we got here. Moving crossover is pro. Let's see what that looks like. Don't love it. Don't love it. Let's see what the between the legs looks like. We know what the Curry is going to look like behind the back. Let's see that between the legs. Don't like the between the legs either. But before we write this off, he is a very fast character. So we'll see if we like that better. He's got that big hesitation. We're going to try and figure out if we can get to his bread and butter move. That is so weird that he does that. Let me see. Let's see. We're going to just try and find a good moving crossover move for him. Because if we can find one, because I know the Curry's okay because it does that, but it's just not ideal, right? For beating the defense. Because what you want to be able to do, obviously, run towards a pinch, go the other way, and then get going towards the basket. Unfortunately, his moving crossovers just have a little extra on them, which makes him not optimal at that. Luckily for Zach LaVine, though, what I will say is this. He has such good dunk animations. He's one of those juice dunkers, right? Where like Dr. J, Dominique Wilkins, one of those guys that's just gonna dunk at a super high level. Like you can put 99 dunk on Eric Gordon, he's not gonna dunk like Zach LaVine. I don't care if you give him the same dribble, the same animations going to the rim. He's just gonna feel different, right? Like Zach is always gonna feel different because he's a slam dunk champion, and they gave him the secret dunking sauce, so he should do it at a very, very high level, right? Look at his fancy dunk real quick. Nice, safe, fancy dunk too. So unfortunately, not great on the moving cross. I do think the Steph is probably one of your better options off of the bread and butter, right? So you burst one way, Steph the other way. It's weird. He's got this weird hesitation. Definitely gonna have to lab that up and see if we can find something there for Zach, because no matter what dribble I do, he seems to be getting that hezzy, and I cannot figure out why. Okay, you can, don't let go of turbo for sure, because you don't want to get the accidental stutter step. You see that? That's such a weird animation. There we go. There we go. Between the legs, that'll do the trick. Again, not his specialty. That's okay. He's so great at so many things. We can take a little nerf on the bread and butter. That's fine. Doesn't ruin the card by any stretch, especially since he's so good at dunking. All right. So moving behind the back, Steph Curry. We know what that's all about. Got your Curry slide. Got your Curry slide spam. You see, kind of slow actually, like on Zach. He doesn't seem to move quite as much as like larger cards who do this. But that's fine. It's the Curry slide. It'll be okay for a couple of threes, just doing that into a three. But what's important is the to get around not having the Jamal Murray, what you're just gonna do is you're gonna focus on this Chris Paul snatchback. So basically, you burst in one way, Chris Paul snatching the other way, shoot your three, you're still good to go, right? So on the perimeter, you still can create with the Curry slide, and you still can create with the Chris Paul snatchback to create threes. It's not that you can't create threes. You can. You just don't have the best tool in the game for creating threes. But I don't think Zach needs that because of his other stuff. While it is the best tool in the game, it is not the only tool in the game. Not having the Jamal Murray doesn't kill a card. I think if you don't have a great escape, if you don't have a great behind the back, if you don't have a great snatchback, and you don't have a great dribble style, now you're starting to talk about, okay, well, what does this card do? But if you have a fantastic dribble style, one of the elite escapes, and at least a great snatch, you can make it work from that. And the Curry slide is still a good move. It's just not an elite move, but it is solid off of that snatch. You just have to be a little better about fooling your opponent. The move doesn't do all the work for you. You have to actually put in a little effort and set up your opponent and trick them rather than literally glitching in the other direction faster than they can catch you. So again, we admit it's a little bit of a nerf, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Let's look at his aggressive cross. That's his aggressive cross? Wow, that is slow. So yeah, he's got that big pause in his aggressive cross. So that's not particularly useful. A little bit of a bummer. It would have been nice if he had one of the better ones. But I think that's fine. So let's go ahead and look at his moving shot. Pro 2, absolutely immaculate. S tier Pro 2 leaner. Everybody can get the Pro 2, but because of the upper, it's not going to be as good as everyone else. I think, in my opinion, this is as good of a Pro 2 jumper can get. I think this is S plus Pro 2 jumper because the release is fast, it's smooth, and it has a really easy to see release point. I think once you get this shot down under your fingers from every angle, you can 100% treat him almost like a D-book and just take those shots at a very, very, very high clip. Kudos to Zach for that. All right, let's see what the hop jumpers are looking like. Ooh, that was horrible. Yuck. What is that? Why is that his signature jumper? His signature hop jumper. This is terrible. That's way worse than I imagined. Okay, I will say this. That's elite. His hop jumper going forward is absolutely elite. That's fantastic. That's, in fact, if you were only using hop jumpers for that, even in my career, if you were a player that always did leaners around the perimeter, but you just wanted the hop jumper just for a step back, this is one of the better step back hop jumpers in the game. And yeah, that's a gorgeous, that's ridiculous actually. This is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous backwards hop jumper. So basically, and for those of you who aren't looking, pay attention to the controller in the corner. I'm double tapping down to get that going. But not only does he stop on a dime, but he also retreats backwards. That is very, very difficult to defend, especially a card like Zach, where he's such a good stick dunker, right? That he's going to get on that rim at a really high level. So once he gets to about this area, you're in danger if you're not under the rim. So as a defender, where she just ran past, you have to run to this area to shrink that meter. And if you're sprinting backwards to shrink that meter, you have no chance of guarding that. And you can see here, super duper easy release on that. Let me say something. I am extremely pleasantly surprised by this Zach LaVine card. If you saw my previews earlier, I was not gassing this card. I said maybe he'll be good, right? He has the animations to be good. I definitely like the Jamal Murray into the Kyrie Irving, but he has a bunch of signature sigs that we had to come in here and explore. And now that we've done so, I'm saying this. If you get this Zach LaVine, do not sell this card before you try this card. And this goes to the preference thing. Am I saying he's better than Shea or Clyde or whoever? I'm not comparing him to those cards, partially because he's different. What I'm telling you guys is that he has the tools to be great, right? And if those tools, which are different from Jamal Murray behind the back and, Kemba escape and the stuff that everybody has, but he has other things that those cards don't have, including the fact that he's just going to be an absolutely elite dunker. And again, if you're running a 6'4", you might really want to look at Zach, because I think Zach is probably better than all of the 6'4s I can think of off the top of my head. I cannot, off the top of my head, think of a 6'4" point guard I would rather have over Zach LaVine. And I don't even think it's particularly close. So I would say this. If you pull this Zach, before you get too upset, go ahead and try this Zach LaVine out. Look at this video. Look at all of the stuff I've showed you. Experiment with him. Experiment with all of these tools and see if stylistically he fits what you like to do as much or more than one of those other cards. Because if somebody told me, listen, I tried Shea, I tried Oscar Robertson, I tried Devin Booker, but Zach LaVine's my favorite point guard, I would not look at them and say, you dirty noob, what are you talking about? Those cards are better. Nope. I would know exactly why they like Zach so much. And it's because Zach has a tremendous jumper, first and foremost. When it comes to jumper, I think he stands toe to toe with anybody. That actually kind of looks like my Kobe jumper from a little bit from my career. That's crazy. Right above his head. That is just nuts. So it's so when it goes above his head, I have it on push. You have to let it go forward just a little bit, so not as soon as it gets above his head, but like right as it's about to go forward on push. But I'm telling you, man, once you get that, this jumper is as good as it gets, in my opinion, in my team, outside of having like Patty base. Even like the thing about McGrady base that's dope is it's hard to contest, but in terms of speed and smoothness, I take this as much as anything. And I think I just saw a jumper that has Zach LaVine base on my career, and I was like, LaVine base, huh? That's interesting. And now I see why. Because Zach with that Zach's base on very quick is way better than it is on normal. Some bases can survive on normal. His base needs to be on very quick, but my goodness, am I pleasantly surprised by what I'm seeing from that. So that is going to wrap it up for Zach LaVine. I guess stats and badge wise, is there anything of note? I mean, we covered that in the preview. Self plug, go watch that video. Sorry that went up late. It just the upload got interrupted, unfortunately, so that went up later. But open looks. That's the only thing I'll say from a badge perspective. Give this card open looks. He doesn't need any other badge, but he 100%. You want to give him gold or even Hall of Fame open looks if you have it. Outside of that, in terms of shoe, we can look at his shoe real quick. People have been asking for that, and that is fair. So as we go down the stats here, I would say if you want to give him shot take, which is not a bad thing to do because his leaner's so fantastic, you definitely want to put a shoe and get double 99s on here because he has that 99 driving dunk. I don't know if you'll get shot take over slash take, but I'm willing to throw a shoe away to figure that out because if I can get shot take, that's obviously better than slash take. He doesn't need anything for slashing. He's cool with all of this stuff. Obviously, who cares about post up? Perimeter defense, I would say maybe throw it on perimeter defense because he doesn't have the greatest wingspan in the world. He's a 6'8" wingspan, better than D-Book, Compare him directly to D-Book. I like him over D-Book. Like, and I just did a video on D-Book. I like D-Book. I'm thrilled to have him on my no money span. I think this card destroys D-Book. I'm not even kidding. You know, just overall, he's just a better slasher. Um, Slightly bigger with the wingspan. Maybe D-Book is a little wider. I think he's a little skinnier than D-Book. But D-Book doesn't have a good defensive frame. Like neither of these guys is, point Kawhi. So that is what it is. But I would prefer Zach LaVine because of the tools that he has. He just has better escape, better behind the back. I think his size up is far superior. All of the stuff we covered in this video, I think, is better than D-Book. Block, I would put it on block because with his vert, I want those block animations, and I want to give myself the best chance to do that. I think with a coach, you don't really care about the speed and all of this stuff. And again, you don't want them to have physicals take. So if you were going to put something on here, go +1, not +2, because you don't want those 99s giving you physicals take. But yeah, and strength. The most important part of the shoe is strength. So I would say strength and shooting, and after that, do what you want. I'm probably going to go strength, shooting, block, and either interior D or perimeter defense. I'm probably going to go into perimeter defense on the shoe. And badge wise, like we said, just give them that open looks and you're good to go. But yeah, I don't think there's an L card this week, to be honest with you. I think the only L card this week is if you have Opal Hakeem. I do not think the DM Hakeem is enough of an upgrade that you feel like you got something special. And having an unauctionable, very, very minor upgrade over that Hakeem, I just don't think that's that big of a deal. That Hakeem was already good at all of the things you needed him to be good at. And if you already had that card and were using him and were still using him, you probably also had him badged up already. So that's just basically you got the same card again. Just same thing for me if I would have got Ron Artest, right? So other than that, for the people who have Hakeem and don't want a second nearly duplicate Hakeem, these are all great Dark Matters this week. And if there was a set out of everything this season, this set is definitely the one I would say deserves the lock in the most. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the comment section. Let me guys know what you think of this card. If you've got this card, if this video has helped you out or maybe helped to show you how to get the most out of this card. And if you're thinking about running him, because as it is right now, I could see running Zach over anybody, depending on your preference. I'm not saying he's better than everybody. I'm just saying he justifies his place on any lineup because he's that damn good. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you all for your support.